little segment we're going to put on the Gudgeons onto the hull. I've got them formed, as you remember seeing in one of the earlier videos. Now it's time to put them on the hull. I want to stick them on before before I paint the inside and before I flip the boat over and start working on the outside. I want to get the holes located so I'm not drilling in finished product. And if I make a mistake, at least now I can fill it up with some easy fillet and smooth it out. So one of the things I've done, get a good view here, is I've taken the Gudgeons and I have a long 3/8 inch bolt that I attached them with a hunk of plastic tubing, some old PVC tubing, and some washers to hold everything into place. And then I lock it down, and I use a 3/8 inch bolt, so the same size as the Pintles. One of the first things I have to do is measure out. I use 3-inch glass tape on the outside of the hull seams, and then it's 3-inch tape, and then a 4-ounce glass cloth on the bottom, and probably up to about this chine length. But I like to mark out where the tape is going to go so I can see where I may or may not have problems later on because of the added thickness of the fiberglass. I'll ferret in so you won't be able to see it, but it may affect the way the Gudgeons go on the hull. Also, I mark them as to which way is up. I always have the bolt head up and the nut down, but I always mark my Gudgeons as to their positions. Right now they're fitting nice and snug. I drop it right there. Another thing you have to remember is when I designed this hull, I wanted these top two panels to come in as a straight line, and they do. But the big thing was I wanted to have a straight line in order to have the axis of the rudder to be able to spin evenly. So I accomplished that, and now I want to mount this down as low as possible to get as much strength for the action, the forces going on down here. The material's heavy enough, and then the other thing I want to make certain that I have is enough depth that when the pintle comes in, I'm not running into this. I need to drop it down just a little bit more, and right there. But normally, as you remember seeing when I made the Gudgeons, I used the tips left over because most of my boats with the gunnel on the transom, you bang into them. So I cut the pins down so I can get the upper Gudgeon as high as possible for strength, but still be able to get the rudder in. Sometimes it's nice to have that point, but I've learned to live without it. So I got them mounted. I have no use in boring you with me drilling holes and putting screws in. The screws I used, or bolts, machine bolts I used for these 4 ones are probably going to be okay, but I'm going to have to go from 3/4 to 1/2 inch in here, or to 1 inch, because right in here I intersect the fillet on the inside. So I'll change those over when I go to the final assembly. So now I'm going to pull off my guide. And set all these parts aside. And then, well, actually a good test is I'm happy. It turns, bounces up and down, so it's in line. It'll rattle a little bit, but I'm going to do a little natural lighting here. I wanted to try it out with something, so I took a piece of 3/4 inch board and some pine board and put the Pintles in and clamped them. So I know I can get the rudder off now easily, and the swing's free. So I'm happy camper. I've got the rudder on. It's not a NACA foil like I usually put on. I just use some pieces I had around. It's got somewhat of a foil shape, but it's not going to be a NACA foil. But I got it on, and it swings free, and it comes off. I use a couple 3/8 inch washers on the pins to hold the Pintles flat on the tops of the Gudgeons, so when I bend them around, I have a better gauge of what is going to be square. Because remember, when I put the Gudgeons in, I used the tube and the bolt and held everything in position square when I drilled the holes. So now I've got my rudder on. I think it's the right shape. I might have needed a little more in the front. I'll see what happens when I get out. And running downwind is usually when you're going to see whether you have a big enough rudder or not. When you're on a broad reach and the puff comes along to see if it tries to turn directions. So I think I got enough rudder in the water to handle anything that's going to come up with. So that'll be it for this.